You are now watching WhoDooTV.
It's an ongoing Spawn book. I think that was it. The ongoing Spawn book is just that. I mean, it's the flagship title that's still running at Image Comic Book. Although, as we all know, we have moved miles away from Image being men in tights, which is what a lot of the books almost exclusively were at the beginning of our history. But if you look at the book that I'm writing, like I said, it's been graduating away from spandex for a long time. So that why? Because it's just my personal taste, which you're going to see if anybody goes to the movie. The only thing that's fantastic in the movie is this thing that's moving around in the shadows. It's called Spawn, but everything else is normal, right? And I'm not a big fan of there has to be a villain, an arch villain, a fast car, a secret headquarters, and ray guns, and you got the bat chopper. When I was younger, I thought that was cool. I just, my audience has been around for, this is the 26th year of Spawn. It doesn't make sense to just have the exact same book for 26 years in a row. And it's one of the reasons for the direction I'm going both in the book and for entertainment, is I just accept the fact that I think that a big portion of my audience is getting older with me, right? So they watched the first movie, but now that was 20 years ago. They watched the animation, that was 20 years ago. They bought Spawn #1, that was 26 years ago. Like, I don't think the bulk of Spawn fans are 13, right? And, oh, by the way, even if some of that was true, there's plenty of that product coming out from Marvel and DC, right? So there's no lack of it. So I just go, let them have it. I think that Image's sweet spot right now is doing the eclectic. I think that's why we're winning people over, is that we're telling stories. Comic books are, in its simplest form, words and pictures. That's it. That's what a comic book is, words and pictures. The story connected to words and pictures can be nearly infinite, right? And luckily we published a bunch of it, everything from super urban stuff to like far space stuff and everything in between. It can be anything. So good story is good story. He's racing towards issue 300, which, I mean, I'm proud. I'm proud of the number of Spawn. And people have asked me, "You're going to renumber it?" And I've always said, no, never. I mean, maybe the day after I die, maybe my sons and daughters will go, "Yeah, shit, Dad, idiot." We'll go back to, but not me, right? I always thought it was cool that when I picked up any comic book, that there was 200 or 300 or 400 issues of it. It's weird. At times they're going, yeah, but then people aren't going to jump on it because it's issue 200, 300. It never bothered me as a collector. As a matter of fact, I took that as a badge of honor that a book could survive that long, that I go, wow, and I understand that all books have, ups and downs in terms of their popularity. But I go, wow, Batman's up to issue 400, that's cool. And I'm sure not every one of them, if I bought them all, were awesome. But that it survived for 400 issues is a victory in and of itself. And so, there was a while there where both Marvel and DC were renumbering all their books. I actually had the highest numbered book. I never understood it. I got to tell you, why would you have a book called Action Comics that started in 1936? I started in 92. You had about a 60-year head start on me, and you let me pass you numbering? That's ridiculous, right? But now they've done all the #1s ad nauseum, and they've seen, which I kept saying over the years, you get these little bumps and then it goes down. And you get these little bumps and you get down. And the sales are still tapering down for our industry every time they were trying that. So there was no data. As a matter of fact, there's counter data that doing that didn't help the sales, right? So you got a bump and then you end up going back. So now what are they doing? They've started every book 100 times over with issue #1. So now they go, let's go back to the original ones, right? And why are they going to do that? So they can get a bunch of, coincidentally, Venom's up to issue 150. I didn't even know there was 12 of them out, let alone 150. I don't know how they're coming up with their numbers. But now there's going to be a bunch of anniversary issues, so they'll get their it's the equivalent to just getting this false bump again. Like, pick your mind. When I was younger, I bought the Comics Buyer's Guide, or I forget what the fat book that had the price. Huh?
Overstreet.
The Overstreet. And to me, I'm being silly now, but again, you get to control your own life. This is how I make my decisions. I used to buy the Overstreet, and the best ones were the ones where you could just go, Fantastic Four. Issues 1 through 30, this price. 30 through 60, but it was Fantastic Four was contained in a box this big. And it was the entire history and the entire run of Fantastic Four. And I thought it was wonderful that I could collect every issue of Fantastic Four. And now I've said to people, if somebody put a gun to my head and said, Todd, go, collect every issue of Fantastic Four or whatever other title, it would take some homework, because I go, well, hold on. They started it and they stopped and then they renumbered and they went up and then it was here and here. In all honesty, I don't know what the through number, like what the actual continuity is. Forget the numbers, like piecing it together. And I remember, like, at a young age thinking it was cool. So when I started Spawn, I went, no. I just want this thing to just have this big, long numbering thing on it. And I've never wavered from it. Again, much to the chagrin, sometimes retailers pressuring me, saying, hey, come on, Todd, come on, Todd, come on, Todd. Look, here, I'm a sports guy. Let me also give you a bad analogy. Using the theory that if a kid buys issue 296 of the Hulk, that it, like, so what are you saying? He's never going to buy the Hulk if he doesn't have issue number 1? It's ridiculous. To me, it's ridiculous. Because that means there'd be nobody in this country watching sports. How can I watch a Yankees game? I didn't get to see every game. I don't understand it. Oh, no. Never got to see Babe Ruth. Never got to see Mickey Mantle. How could I go? I'm in the middle. Like, what are you talking about? You just start watching now, and then you start going backwards and start finding out the history and doing it. You know how many titles I picked up at issue 144, and then I went and bought like 100 issues backwards so that I had it from 44? It was cool. I don't know. It's a weird thing to me. So, anyways, I'm just ranting about numbering. But I've also, and I may do it. I've also had this thing where I might put like 2 numbers on my book, and it'd just be like the ongoing number, and then in the other corner it'd just be a number 1 every month. Fuck, you want to? If the only reason you're buying my book is because of a number, I'll put the number on my book, right? It's the same character, it's the same story, it's the same writer, it's the same artist, it's the same colorist. If I did number 1, it would be all the same, and the only difference would be a number. And if the only reason I'm selling this book is because of a numerical number on a cover, then I am failing on so many levels. It's just, I can't do it. So, but for your emotional mindset, if you need to look at a number 1, I'll put a number 1 on my books for the next 20 years if you want. Like, it's a silly conversation. 300 again. We're racing to. I have the story in which when we get to that story, there's a revelation that is a new movement forward in the mythos of Spawn. Why? I don't know. I don't think. Here's why it works. Here's why it works for Marvel and DC, I think. This is my opinion. Stan Lee starts Spider-Man, and then he does it. And I'm making this all up, so this is all me with conjecture and with. And then if he does 30, 40, 50 issues of Spider-Man, he starts to get repetitive. And then he loses a little bit of interest, and then Len Wein comes on. And then he does it for 30, 40, 50 issues, and then he goes, I'm starting to repet. And then Marv Wolfman comes on, and then Roy Thomas comes on, and then somebody comes on, and somebody comes. So what's happening is every 20, 30, 40, 50 issues, somebody else is coming on, but they're new and they're refreshed, and it's all new to them. And they don't know that they're repeating what the other guy was just doing. The difference here is that I've been at the steering wheel of this character for 25 years. And I'm betting if Stan Lee was still writing every one of those characters, he would have evolved them differently. I'm not saying better, I'm not saying worse. He would have evolved them. Why? Just for personal sanity, right? it's near impossible as a human being to go, I'm just going to do the same thing over and over and over for 26 years in a row. You have to figure out how to keep some sanity in your head, and one of the ways is to just try new things. And some things work and some things don't. So that's why the evolution of the book has been different than a typical corporate superhero, because those have been rotated. I've even been part of them. Superman and Batman and Hulk. I've been part of those to go, oh my God, I can do Spider-Man for 30, 40 issues, right? I don't feel like I'm repeating anything because it's only 3 years of my life. What do I care, right? But you do 26 years of your life, you start to become aware, like a dog, you're eating the same food all the time, right? You'd be like, could you put a little cheese on it? So, which I do. I put cheese on my dog's food now, right? That's actually a truism. So, but 301 to me, like I was saying, 301, I even had a conversation with Eric Stevenson and going, should we make issue 300 normal and make 301 the anniversary? Because to me, that's the record, like from a personal point of view. And then he sort of slapped me and went, Todd, I understand it, but you know what? Everybody else is trained that 300 is the number, right? So I was like, okay. So 300 will be the big double-sized issue, and then 301 will just be something with a sexy banner or something on it, and then we'll go back to it. And like I said, the tonality of it will match closer what I'm about to present in this feature film.
Hey, if you like this video, be sure to hit the like button below. There's also that subscribe button down there too. Make sure you punch that. We'd appreciate it. Follow us at Twitter at WhoDooTV, also on Facebook. Yeah, and we'd like to thank our friends over at OutrightGeekery.com. Be sure to check them out. They got all sorts of nerdy stuff on there. Links down in the description. Thank you for watching WhoDooTV. We appreciate you guys.